Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Bullets and Bourbon. I'm Matt Gundlach, and tonight I have the mastermind and match genius himself on, Jason Byerly. Tonight we're going to be talking about the most recent match he held, which is the Fall Brawl, and then we're going to transition over to the upcoming Battle for the South, along with some other events that he is going on. So let's just go ahead, jump right into it, and start with the first question. So, Jason, you just held your third annual Fall Brawl, this time being at Coleman's Creek. How would you say the flow of the match was now that it's complete?
The flow of the match went pretty well. The building was what the struggle was. We started when we got there the first time we went there. I've been there before because back in 18 or 19, we did night matches there. There were, before it was even open to the public. And it was way before they had the infrastructure they have in now. They're predominantly a long range facility. So getting there, everything was on the ridge line, and it was kind of it was a little bit ominous because it looked like when I first got there, we were in a regular vehicle, a truck, so we really couldn't just drive anywhere we wanted to. We had to stay on the main little road, but it just felt like everything was going to have to start with rifle. So I come home, I felt a lot of anxiety behind it because of the location and what all I was going to have to do and what we were going to have to do. We ended up going through about six different iterations of stages, different places. When I first got there, I picked out 10 or 12 spots that I thought would work. And then the next time I went down, I took one of our side by sides down and drove the property and changed that around to another different, wiped out five of the spots that I originally planned on and went to five different ones. And um, once I got down there with the side by side, though, I kind of was able to drive the property and really get a good understanding because it's the way the property had been clear cut, I don't know, 10 years ago, and it has about 10 years of growth on it. So they don't really cut back anything. So they just go out and set their targets or leave their targets out there for the PRS matches and just build the positions. So I had to drive out there and really get a feel of the location because it's not an easy location. It really reminds me a lot of Texas in the sense of the rolling hills and their topography. They don't have as many rocks, but they do have rattlesnakes, and they do have a rolling hillside and rolling topography. So it was a little ominous going out there driving in areas that I really wasn't sure when it was going to drop off, and because the grass and the trees were high enough to where you couldn't tell if there was a wash or if it was just flat and it was rolling hills or if it was going to drop off. So the original getting out there was a little tough. After about the third time out there, fourth time, and getting a couple stages on the ground that we already knew where we were going to put them, um, things started going a little easier. I got out there with the bush hog on my little tractor, and this stuff had been clear cut so long ago that most of it was small enough and rotted that I could just cut through it with the bush hog. So it made it a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. They were really accepting and really open to our ideas and what we wanted to do. Um, we did have a little bit of a range fan in a lot of places, so we
You
had to keep.
maximized it.
We maximized it as best we could, um, and used what they already had in place for some of it. Um, what I mean by that is some of their shooting areas. We used two or three of their shooting areas that they already had. We just went in front of it, or you utilized the PRS position for rifle, then came down and went to shotgun and pistol. So you know, all in all, I think the match flowed really well. It actually, for as much shooting as the competitors had, it actually flowed pretty well. The difference between there and Clinton House was obviously the movement from stage to stage. Um, It
Everything is
was
on one main road, right?
It's on one main road, really easy to get to. You don't get confused. There's no real turnoffs or anything like that. So at Clinton House, you have to plan for 10 or 15 minutes of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get to your car, get in it, move, get out of your car, get to the stage. You got to plan for 10 or 15 minutes. We didn't have to do that here. So our normal 2 hours never really came into play for the match. So most stages, even our slow squads, were done within an hour and 15 to an hour and 30 minutes.
That's pretty
So
good.
it is. The downside is, which is an upside too, was the competitors had a lot of downtime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we had a couple of stages that we had to control when vehicles got to because of the limited parking. So we had to coordinate that. We had to get stages coordinated. So some competitors weren't able to go to the next stage and plan because they had to wait for the stage to clear off. But they still had plenty of time because we stuck to that 2 hour time frame.
So real quick on that, like now that you kind of, and now that like going to a new location is always hard.
Mhm.
Whenever you've never used it, and there are a lot of unknowns. Now that it's no longer an unknown, are you, for next year, whenever you plan go to Coleman's Creek, are you looking at maybe adding an extra stage, knowing that you're going to have extra time, or do you want to, do you think it's best to play it the way it is? That way, you don't lose light, and now people are shooting in the dark.
Well, we're not going to add an extra stage because we got very lucky with the weather.
Hmm.
Our ROs did not; they got rain. However, that place is really bad for fog, and
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't clear off till 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
We got super lucky. We didn't have any fog, but I have to plan for that. So we have roughly 8 to 8.5 hours of light. Four stages is, well, correction. We have about 9.5 hours of light. So 8 stages gives me an hour buffer.
Hmm.
I mean, correction, 4 stages. 4 stages per day gives me an hour buffer. So we had that flex built in to go to 5:15 if we needed to. Um, so we won't change anything with the way it flows. I will try to create more parking to allow the competitors to get over to the other stages to plan on the other stages. Um, this match was very different from Memorial or Battle in the sense of this was a natural terrain stage. I always use this person as my who tells me what they think without hurting, trying, they don't care if they hurt my feelings. Not that I have any, but RJ always tells me what he thinks of the match. And he always
Yeah.
gives me an honest opinion. And he said that this match was a non thinking match. It was just go. It was challenging and it had its challenges to it, but it wasn't like Memorial or Battle where it's a big bay match and I have to put walls and I'm going to push the corners and I'm going to make you think about stuff and I'm going to make you perform on demand while thinking. This one was a more open terrain, natural terrain, just go match.
Which I think
Um,
is, I think it's a good transition. I mean, like everybody knows how well you make technical matches, and it just kind of shows the diversity of what you're capable of doing, and the different styles that you're able to to kind of give to the competitors. It's the end of the year. People want to go fast, they want to go, they want to shoot, and I think it's a good representation of your capabilities.
and that's really what I wanted to do was, to show everybody that we can build in natural terrain. I don't consider um, Clinton House natural terrain anymore because they've cut that big area for PRS. So that's just a big open hill. It's not natural terrain. The other side, while it being good, it's been run over so many times. There's only so many places on there. I don't know how many acres. I think it's 2,100 or however many acres it is. But you really only use about 500 of the acres.
Right.
So the stages became the same stages over and over again. So really, it wasn't to me a natural terrain because I still had to move walls out there. I had to barrels and all this other stuff. With this match, I don't think I used more for the match itself, more than 15 walls. Um, and I brought 50 with me. We use walls mainly for banners, for advertisement and banners. We really didn't use them at all for anything else. Which to me, I didn't want to use any at all. I didn't want to use any of the bays that they have. I didn't want to use anything like that. I wanted to make it as natural terrain as possible to show that it can be done here on the East Coast and that it can be done well. So that it was very lucky for them to reach out to us for us to do a match there. Like I said, it's a tremendous facility. It's only getting better. They're going to build housing there, bunks, and a meeting hall room, and a um, gun store, and they're just continuously expanding. They're doing really well. Posey's doing a really good job out there. Daniel Posey's doing a really good job out there with the PRS stuff. They've got a couple other things. I think the proving grounds are coming there, and they're allowing a few others to come there as far as other style of matches coming. I'm not sure, but I think we're the only 3-gun match they're going to allow there. But it's their place, so they'll do
They
whatever,
get to choose what they want.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we had a really good experience with those guys out there. Everybody was really welcoming and helpful, and we've been places before that have been marginal on
Yep.
welcoming and help.
Yep.
Um, so it was a really good experience. It was a good enough experience for the competitors that they wanted me to move battle for the South there. They want me to move it there, but I want to maintain the two very distinct, different matches for us. And then Memorial is what Memorial is. We can't do Memorial anywhere else because of all the moving pieces to Memorial.
Well, I think it
It's not
gives
just a
good
match.
I think it gives good diversity. And I mean, not to go too into the weeds of, the discussion later that we're going to have about Battle for the South, but you're going to be able to show that your different styles between now, you know, Battle for the South is going to be a 2-gun, and you're still going to be doing it at Gryphon Group. Memorial is going to be a 3-gun, very technical in nature, like you've always done. And then, going down to Coleman's Creek, which is going to be very natural terrain and just go type of match. And so you like what you're doing for the East Coast. And I speak to the East Coast specifically because, East and West, I'm not saying that there's a divide, but you very rarely see people going cross country these days. I mean, there are still few that do, but like you're giving the East Coast the styles they need because there's not many major 3-gun matches here on the East Coast. There's not many
Mm-hmm.
major matches in general in the practical realm of shooting on the East Coast. So North Carolina is kind of leading the way on that. We've lost a lot of matches up in Pennsylvania. We've lost matches up here in Virginia, West Virginia. So like you are that central hub of where people on the East Coast can congregate, and you're giving them all the different flavors that they would see in other areas.
And that's what we're trying to do. Not taking away from anybody else's matches. We want as many matches as possible. I would love to be able to go shoot a good match here on the East Coast without having to go to Texas or Missouri or wherever. But for me, this year it's been injuries and time, so I haven't been able to go shoot as much. I'm hoping that changes a little bit next year. We'll see. I know I got a surgery coming up, but um, we're it's for the competitors. What we do it for. Um, we don't really make any money at this. I do it because of the love of the game.
Hmm.
People might say bullshit. Yeah, you do. No, no, we really don't. We
And I
really
can
don't.
second that. You and I have many long discussions about that. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's not true. I mean,
we
it is true.
we dump it back. I mean, we really don't dump it. We put it back into the match. We try to work with our partners that come on and sponsor. When they sponsor, we try to buy from them. We try to put it back into the match, and we literally make nothing on these matches. But I do it for the love of the game. I love shooting. I love the sport. I love
The
the
community, the people.
the community. It's like what I said at the awards for Fall Brawl was We've made this a family. That's why we have 20 and 30 ROs. We have right now, we don't even have all of our ROs, but for battle, we already have 20 plus ROs.
Hmm.
We for Fall Brawl, we had 30 ROs. We made it a family, and we want the shooting sports to be a family. So and just like any family, we don't always get along, but we get the job done. We make it happen. We try to listen to the community. I just had an AR with Torres about Memorial, and I read the 30 plus people that did comment out of the 200 plus people. I read through every one of the comments. It was very. It's the same. It's usually roughly the same comments as it is every year. Um, some people like the long range. Some people don't like the long range. Some people want more. Some people want less. Some people say it's perfect. Uh, they talk about the technical stages. They want less of them when there's really only two. Uh, but it goes back to I do listen. I do read them. I do take them to heart. I do think about it. That's why this year, even for Fall Brawl, we didn't put a bunch of small targets. Our long ranges were 4 and 5 MOA. I try to show the capability of the weapon system because most people don't know what a gun will do, and especially new shooters, the mid pack, the lower pack shooters. And
Well,
so we put
they don't know what the weapon is capable of, but they also don't know what they're capable of
what they're
sometimes as
capable
well.
of. Correct. So we put a 700-yard target out there. We put a 650 at we put a 650 at Fall Brawl last year. We put a 650 at Battle, I think. These are all running together. I know we put one at Memorial,
Hmm.
but they were 5 MOA targets or bigger. At least horizontal wise, they were 5 or 6 MOA. Vertically, they were like 10 MOA. But that at Fall Brawl this year, we put a 48 by 48 piece of steel that we cut, and it's 700 yards, 48. It's a 7 MOA target. So we even with wind, you hold if it's blowing right to left, you hold right edge. You're still going to hit it.
Hmm.
If it's 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, if 30, 40 mile an hour wind, you might have to hold off. But it's still what I noticed. I noticed it at Memorial, and I noticed it at Fall Brawl was more people hit the 650 to 700 long range target first round hits than they hit the four
300.
MOA, the 300 4 MOA target, the 12-inch target at 300. So it's really just the confidence of the competitor and what they think and know they can do, and that's where I'm trying to show them. I'm trying to give them that hey, this can be done. You can do this.
Now, kind of wrapping up the whole Fall Brawl discussion, I
Mhm.
just wanted to, give you the time and the space to give any shout outs to anybody that you see fit.
Um, for Fall Brawl, it's our entire crew. Fall Brawl was a very compressed build, one being a new place. My crew came out, David Hoeing, Maxwell Kogler, Roy, Joffrion, and his whole family. The whole family didn't get to come out this time as much, but they did come out and help. Primarily, it was Roy, and Roy is just a hard worker. I mean, he doesn't he doesn't talk back. He does whatever you ask him to do, and he's really, really just there for the sport. I mean, if there's any gentleman out there that I've met so far that's there for the sport, it's Roy. Roy is there to help in whatever manner he does, whether it be at the Duskin, whether it be a memorial, whether it
I
be in
like
our
Roy.
matches. Roy
Roy is
just
just a good person.
he just works hard. He's such a good person, and he helps. And he just goes out of his way to help, and it's really appreciated. Um,
Real
he,
salt of the earth type of guy, like just
yes,
willing to give you the shirt off his back.
yes. Uh, um, the rest of my guys, Jen Card comes out. She busts her butt to help, like she does with everything. Austin comes out and helps when he can. Um, just the whole crew, and then the back end. Dave Hoeing was doing the awards and he does the acrylic stuff and makes the plexiglass awards. Chris does some of the back end stuff with the prize table. Um, so I know I'm forgetting some, but Thomas and Thomas Riley. I know I'm forgetting somebody, but all just the normal crew that's willing to give up their time to come out and help.
Yeah.
Because this is not just me. Because when I'm out there, I'm building so many matches that my brain just locks up and I get writer's block, I guess you would call it. And I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What are your ideas for this? And it goes back to being a family thing. And we
Well,
all put in ideas and we all get in our little tiffs, our little arguments and our little back and forth, but it ends up producing a good product.
what I would also say is it shows the mark of a good leader. You know, you're willing to give up a level of control and let other people add their own thoughts into it, and then kind of compromise. And every like you said, everybody gets in their tiffs, but true that's where true perfection comes from. Everybody's not going to agree on one thing, and at the end of the day, there's going to be a resolve, and it's been like, hey, let's take aspects of it all and put it together.
Yeah.
And it really does show the mark of a good leader.
That's what we try to do. It's they all put in their input for Memorial. They all put in their input for Fall Brawl. And they've done it for other matches too, but these are the two recent ones. And they're all just I couldn't do it without them. Long story short, I couldn't do it without them. It's a I definitely couldn't have got Fall Brawl done without everybody that was there and getting the stuff there. Roy, getting the stuff back. Roy, Dave. It's just been it's a lot of moving pieces, and luckily, Coleman's Creek gave us Connex, 42-foot Connex, and we're storing a bunch of stuff there, a bunch of walls, and a bunch of stuff we won't use until next year. So we're just building a whole new set of walls to put at Coleman's Creek and at Gryphon Group. That way, walls are the hardest thing to move. They take up the most space. That take up more space than the value of them, really.
Yeah.
But you got to have them. So
Barrels too.
barrels, God, barrels. Yeah, we've got enough barrels. We've got enough barrels at both places now that we're good. Um, the only flex I'll have is I'll have to flex some of that stuff back to range 65 when JK does Duskin this year. But that's not a big move. That's like 30 minutes away, so that's really easy. But because we bounce off of each other for materials we use for both matches. So I'll take him walls, I'll take him barrels and targetry and all this other stuff, and then like I said, we flex off of that. So it's really just this little network of like I said, family that we just make all this happen.
No, that's awesome. So you're about to go into what, your fourth year of Battle for the South.
Correct.
So, and in previous years, it has been a three-gun match, but this next year, it's going to be a two-gun match. What's your reasoning behind switching from three-gun to two-gun?
The reason behind it is one, I'm having surgeries, and a two-gun match is a lot easier to build than a three-gun match. I've got a shoulder surgery coming up probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. The recovery from that, I should be recovered to build, and it's going to allow my foot to heal. Then I may have a neck surgery and another shoulder surgery. So I've got a right shoulder injury, a left shoulder injury. I have C3 to C4 that's going bad. So where I already have C4 to T1 fused together, I've got to have another fusion, probably more than likely. I actually meet with him tomorrow. But my idea behind it was one, there's not really a major two gun match other than PCSL. And I heard good things relatively about PCSL this year. I heard it improved from last year. Um, but I wanted a intermediate two gun match where we went out to 400 yards on 4 or 5 MOA targets, like a 18 by 24
Mm-hmm.
humanoid size targets, to show, to make it a fast, fun 3 gun esque but 2 gun match. It's going to be like a 3 gun match, only without the shotgun. And we have a lot of people that shoot our local 2 gun, albeit our local 2 gun is a hit factor match. It's not going to be hit factor. Um, so it's going to be, because hit factor is, without manipulating the points, hit factor is hard to do for long range to balance everything
And
out.
and the local is mainly just a bay match.
The local is a 50-yard bay match.
Yeah.
But we have a really good turnout for that. We have between 40 and 80 people on average for that, which, will draw in a lot more people from the local area for battle for that, and from the military and from law enforcement, because they'll be willing to come out and shoot 2 gun, because a lot of these guys don't want to mess with the shotgun.
Yeah. A lot of
Um,
them don't have access to shotgun. A lot of them
yeah,
will probably be using duty guns, from the military and law enforcement side.
and that's where, so going that leading into our divisions. We we went back and forth. This was harder to come up with divisions than 3 gun. I didn't think it was going to be that pain in the ass as it was, but the divisions were, we went back and forth, and then a couple of people were back and forth with me about the AKs and how AKs this and AK that, and I said, guys, this is not a primarily AK match. This is
Mm-hmm.
a carbine 2 gun match. So PCC 223. I don't. To me, it doesn't matter, as long as we categorize and we have the set of rules and they have the divisions. Then people can pick the divisions they want to shoot. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to make sure it's divisions people want to shoot, but it's not a. And I keep going back to the AK thing, because the AK thing was an issue. Was This is not a specific AK match. It is going to be a carbine pistol match. You're going to shoot pistol, and you're going to shoot your rifle, and you're going to shoot fast, fun, accuracy, some accuracy driven, but mainly fast and fun. I want to make sure people have fun shooting this, and I want it to be able to where your duty rifle can shoot it. That's why I'm not going past 400 yards. It's going to be a huge target where a red dot can shoot it if they want to. If that's what they choose to do. If the people who like to shoot red dots and like to shoot magnifiers and things like that, they can come out and shoot it. If they want to run an AK with iron sights, they can come out and shoot it, because the gun is completely capable of it. So it's that's what I'm looking to do. The PCC side of it, I will have limited targets at 100 yards and in for PCC, just like we do for 3 gun PCC, or we did for 3 gun PCC. We'll still do that. We'll have 100 yards. The maximum you'll shoot PCC will be 100 yards, because I know the weapon system will actually go out to 200,
Mm-hmm.
and probably past that. I haven't tested past that, but I'm sure it will. But I want to open it up to people who just want to come out and run PCC and pistol. You will run both. You won't just run. It will be a 2 gun match, but it'll have as many options as I can build into it. It will be base style match, just like it always is at Gryphon Group, and it'll be 8 stages, and there'll be a lot of shooting, like it typically is. We're gonna shoot. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be fast stages, good stages. Out of the 8 stages, 4 will have long range to them, up to 400 yards. And then we'll have, our base stages like we always have. And, we'll have our jungle runs. We'll have our 2 gun jungle runs. We'll have two gun jungle runs, and we'll have some base stages and some long range stages. So it's going to be, the 3 gun esque flavor of battle with just 2 guns.
So, I mean, does a two gun match and does designing a two gun match versus a three gun match, pose any challenges, or would you
No,
say it's easier?
it's easier. I don't have to, unless it's a bay, I don't have to think about options as much.
Hmm.
Because your options are really limited. If you put steel out, they obviously can't shoot it with a rifle, so they
Yep.
got to shoot it with a pistol. So now you have to, you just say, okay, well, from this point on, it's going to be pistol. Now where you put in the option is where you're putting paper. So there's going to be more paper in this match than a typical 3-gun match. There was actually a lot of paper in Fall Brawl. So we used a ton of paper in Fall Brawl. We used 100 and I think it was 125 pieces of paper in Fall Brawl. And so that's using a whole box for that was a lot. And there'll probably be somewhere close to that um, for battle. It'll be there'll be some options in there to where you can stick with rifle or go to pistol or go to rifle or and keep pistol holstered or whatever. I'm going to build options in as best I can. And then some will be okay, we're going to shoot this through here, then we're going to switch to this gun and shoot this through here and end here with this. So to me, building a 2-gun is way, way, way simpler than building a 3-gun. It doesn't require as much stuff. Um, so it's when you start throwing another gun in there, now I've got to start thinking about options. I could do like Texas and where basically you're going to shoot this gun through here, you're going to shoot this gun through here, and you're going to shoot this gun through here. And there's no options. You don't have any options to do anything else. This is what you're going to do. I don't like to do that. I'm not a fan of that. I don't mind shooting it sometimes, but I like option based as much as I can. And for Fall Brawl, we provided options in natural terrain more so than most other matches, in my opinion. Again, I'm biased, but it's in my opinion. In the matches I go and shoot, we did. So I'm going to try and do that for battle. Um, and again, this will be a collaboration with everybody that's helping me.
Hmm.
So it'll be it'll be as good as we can make it.
Which
So
I'm sure it's going to be great. Like I already plan on going down there. And you know me, you know how I've felt over the past year, just burnt out, like not wanting to do anything, and now it's like, okay, I'm ready to hit it back again, and like I'm excited. Like I truly am excited to kind of get back out there and be among the community and shoot. I
yeah,
think it's going to be good.
and it's the camaraderie as well. Getting out there with everybody, not just to get the staff, but it's also competitors. Getting out,
Yeah.
talking to them, hanging out with them, getting their opinions. Their opinions. The community's opinion matters.
Oh
It
yeah.
matters to me. It matters what they think. Uh, I'm not speaking for every match director, but I know for me, it matters what the community thinks in the sense of, you know, how can we make things better? How can we improve? How can we give the community what they want? Um,
Well, if you look at it, like we saw, I would say after the Three Gun Nation years and right before the pandemic, and even shortly thereafter the pandemic, we saw a bunch of matches rise and then immediately fall. And not saying it's all the match director's fault, but when they don't take in the opinions or collect after actions or listen to what people have to say, and they just keep going with, well, this is how we're going to do it, what do they think's going to happen? People aren't going to necessarily show up. Whereas, yours kind of is hold steadfast. You host the biggest match in the entire country, being Memorial, and you know it keeps coming back. Why? Because you listen to what people have to say.
and that's what we try to do. As much as we can. Again, I'm not ignorant to the fact that we're not going to make everybody happy.
Hmm.
And some people have favorites. They have other matches that they think are better, which is fine. That's their prerogative. And
That's what makes us
I
all
don't
human.
exactly. And everybody has their own style of shooting that they like. And so, you know, um, I think variety is the spice of life, and I think we're going to continue to do what we're doing. We're going to continue to give back to the community, and do as much as we can, while I can. Let me read that while I can. And my the guys that and girls that support us and support Zoo City and come out there and dedicate their time to us. As long as they keep supporting, we're going to keep doing it and putting it down. I hope I never do anything that loses that support from them. Uh, because without them, without the ROs, the sport doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do it with just competitors. It's got to be a community together.
Absolutely. Like,
And
I
that's
mean,
where
I'm hosting a match this coming June, a Falling Steel match up at Shadowhawk Defense, and it's like, one of my biggest things is rallying some support for ROs. You can't have a match if you have no ROs.
Mhm.
And, I would say that is one of the most important aspects of the match. You don't have good ROs, you don't have a good match.
Correct. That's 100% correct. We touched on that a little bit on the AAR with Memorial. So I am extremely lucky with the support of the ROs that I have. Um, they are always steadfast. They are always willing to help. They give up their time to and their money to come out and support us and help put on the ground as good a match as we can do and help support that match. They are always willing to go above and beyond for us, and help us, and it is greatly appreciated. And um, you know, I'm I'm hoping two of our ROs, their family issues kind of solve themselves, and they're able to get out more this year. They've had a couple of things come up, one specifically.
Yes. Uh,
That
we
and
don't want
we're
to we don't want to spread his
no,
business, but
no,
you
no,
know,
but I'm hoping that levels out, and it sounds like it's going to. I need to actually give him a call. But we want to be there and support them because they support us, and because we're friends, and because we're family.
yeah, no, that specific individual, we were actually having a conversation, and I hate to, kind of keep it, cryptic, but this specific individual, my very first match I ever showed up to, back in 2014, I want to, no, it was 2013. My very first match was a USPSA match down in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and he is the first person I ever met in the shooting sports. And like we kind of had that instant connection. He is the very first person I ever shot three gun with. So he and I go back pretty far, and just to
Mm-hmm.
see what he's going through. I mean, it sucks, but like family does, is we rally around our friends
Mm-hmm.
and we support them as best we can, whether we're close or from afar.
Yep. So, we want to support our family as the way they support us, and and even in when he can't, he wasn't able to be at Fall Brawl, but he kept showing us support and kept messaging me, and you know talking to me, and always has very good critiques, and advice. Um, so we were definitely missing out not having him there, but
Yeah,
completely understand the circumstances as to why. Um,
absolutely.
but um, but yeah, now that we went down that road, um,
But let's shift gears.
okay,
We're obviously going back to Gryphon Group for the Battle for the South.
yes,
And you've already kind of given the layout of what type of stages you're going to be putting on the ground.
hmm
Nothing out of the norm from what we normally see. But does making this a two gun format open it up to some other areas that we haven't previously seen, or is it going to be, kind of, you know? we're gonna see the same flavor in the same areas, and just kind of expand upon that.
really, and this I said this on the Memorial podcast. It's really Griffin Group is has very little SDZs. What I mean by that is they have very little fall area for the bullets, so you have to be very careful. Their left and right limits in some areas are non-existent, so we can't shoot center fire in some of those areas. So, like where stage 3 was for Memorial, there is no right limit to where the road is, and there's no berm, there's no anything. So we can't shoot center fire in that direction. The only thing we can shoot in that direction is birdshot, because birdshot will drop before it ever hits the road, because we're far enough away. But that is why I build that stage that way. We won't be using, probably won't be using that area unless I can come up with some crazy stage where everything is facing the other way, which I still may not do it because I got to think about reloads and stuff like that. So that place is basically an island in the middle of other crap around it. So we have to be very careful that nothing leaves the range. So in doing that, I have to, I said this in the Memorial podcast, but I know that place better than most of the people that work there. I know what you can and can't do there. So it's going to be a lot like what you typically see us do out there for our other matches. I've got a couple of places that I'm looking at, but I don't think they're going to really be good for 2-gun as much as they're going to be good for 3-gun. So probably saving a couple places for Memorial, for the 3-gun side of things. For the 2-gun, we're going to use the 2,400 meter impact, which is which was stage 4 for Memorial. We're going to use the big 200 meter bay. We're going to use the 2 blast bays where you go out and shoot long range out of. We're going to use the 2 jungle runs. We're going to use some of the other areas we've used previously. We're not going to use the tower. We're not going to use the aircraft. We reserve all of that for Memorial, but we may use right as you cross the culvert to the right where we put a stage at before. We may use that. It just depends on when I get out there and I start looking around and start building, where we're going to use and what we're going to do. This year we'll not have a shoot off. We're not going to do that this year. We kind of feel like we're going to start reserving the shoot offs for Fall Brawl. We have more time. It's better for the competitors, better for us. So we're going to do that, and just kind of let it be what it is.
Like, yeah. So, what are the dates for this match?
The dates for the match are, I'm on my phone, so I can't look at it. The 22nd, 23rd of March, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's it. The staff will shoot Thursday, Friday, and the competitors will shoot Saturday, Sunday. Depending on the turnout, is whether we're going to keep it AM PM or we'll just make it a 4-stage match per day. It really just depends on the turnout of what we're going to do there. And that will determine the stage size as well, because as AM PM, I have to kind of think about stage size and the flow of the match. So we'll adjust accordingly with the turnout. You know, everything relatively has been kind of slow in the shooting sports. So we're trying to be patient and let it hit its growth again. We're kind of in a little bit of a lull, not too bad, but it's not as bad as it's been previously before other years, but it's slowed down a little bit. I think people are still kind of hurting from the economy. So
Yeah.
not as easily not
People
as easy
just
for them
aren't,
to spend money.
yeah, people aren't traveling nearly as much as they used to.
No, 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 no,
But
they're not.
but I think that kind of wraps it up between Fall Brawl, Battle for the South. And
Mhm.
we're going to have further discussion on this specific match itself, but the Gauntlet match, which is there in Franklinville, Ashboro area. Can you kind of go into just a little bit of details about that? Like I said, we're going to do a more of a deep dive with Chris Hutchison in a future episode, but just to kind of put it on everybody's radar.
Yeah. So the gauntlet, let me backtrack this. John Sherbert and I, back in when we met back in 14, we started doing something we called the battle rattle, which was basically what tactical games, in my opinion, should be. Um, but it was basically physical based shooting. Back then, we made it a little more, I guess you would call it, quote unquote, tactical. But it was physical based. We did a lot of physical stuff, and then we would shoot, do some more physical stuff, and shoot some more. Then finish with some physical stuff, and finish with shooting. It was. That's when it started. Hutch or John Sherbert. I'm sorry. Let me keep going with this. John Sherbert. He started doing
The Rumble.
the rumbles. Well, he called it. He brought back Battle Rattle to
Yes.
TRC.
Yes.
Then when he left TRC and went to Gryphon Group, he brought the rumbles. And he did really well with those. They got a really big draw at the time. When we were doing it, there was no tactical games. There was no big draw for it. But he ended up getting, because of the tactical games, a big draw because of the way he put the match on the ground. It was not just stand and deliver. Let's do CrossFit and stand and deliver. It
Yep.
was movement based. It was fun. People really enjoyed it. He got a really he would sell out his matches. And then when Sherb left, he left Gryphon Group. He went back to TRC. He started trying to do it again, but it just didn't have the draw. And he was kind of burned out, so he took a break. A couple months ago, Hutch approached me because Hutch loves doing them because he's a PT stud.
Yep.
He approached me and said, "Hey, I want to bring the Rumbles back, but we're going to name it something else." And I was like, "Bro, whatever." I said, "I would recommend doing it quarterly because you do it monthly, you'll burn people out, but you do it quarterly, people be down to do it." I said,
Mm-hmm.
"But one of my prerequisites was I don't want anything to do with it because I'm so busy. I didn't want to build another match. It was going to be on the fifth weekend. It was going to be on the every quarter there was a fifth weekend." And I was like, "Man, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to build it. That's my weekend off out of all the weekends because we still have our local matches." And he said, "Cool, bro. I got you, bro. I'm going to build it. I'm going to do this." And he did. He came in while we were down at Fall Brawl. He built it. I came in from Fall Brawl and I proofed it and made sure everything was good. And we talked through some things, but he put down a tremendous match. It sold out. We actually opened up another squad, and it performed. The match itself, as a match director, performed well. Everybody seemed to like it. There were some minor deficiencies that we could improve on that he and I both spoke about, and the competitors seemed to love it.
I had a
It was,
blast.
yeah,
Like,
you shot it.
I mean, I'll just throw it out there now. Like, again, I've kind of this year I've kind of taken off from shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and this was my last opportunity to really shoot a match this year. And
Mm-hmm.
at first I was like, no, I'm not gonna go shoot it. But then I just got this wild hair up my ass. I called you. I was like, hey, I see it sold out. I need to get in, and I got in. And you opened up that extra squad. I shot with, I shot with Nate Staskowitz and some other, top class people,
Mm-hmm.
and I I got reinvigorated. And it's like, okay, I have a direction. Like I've done, some running guns. I've done, tactical games, but like this match right here, like the formula that John Sherbert created, and then what Chris Hutchison put down was just a great formula for a physical marksmanship event. And very little reset, just go out there, do your work, do your
Get smoked,
shooting,
shoot. Yeah.
and then do some more work.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some stages you get off and you're like, man, my legs are jello. What the fuck? But it's like, all right, let's go to the next stage and let's get
Mm-hmm.
this done. And everything was formulated in such a way to, okay, I'm gonna smoke my lower body or I'm gonna smoke my upper body. And it you could easily bounce back and keep performing.
Yep. And Hutch did like I said, he did a really good job. I was a little skeptical because Hutch likes to be Hutch, and Hutch likes to. He's a PT monster, so sometimes he's like, it needs to be heavier, it needs to be this, it needs to suck more. And I was like, bro, you gotta, you're selling to the mid pack. You want your mid pack to finish. Your low pack's gonna get mostly through it, but you want
Hmm.
your mid pack to finish. And I didn't have to adjust much at all. Actually, he did a tremendous job. He was very mindful of everything. He he did a good job, man. I mean, really, that's what it boils down to. He did a good job. I didn't have to adjust much of anything at all. I gave him some a little advice on a couple of things, but nothing that was crazy. I mean, he thought of pretty much everything, and then
It
you
was a
know,
blast.
we're
Like it.
we're go
Go
ahead.
on.
We're going to we're going to do the next one in March. It'll be right after battle, the weekend after battle, which is amazing because I mean they got to come back and do that too. But we're going to do it at that. Then I forget the other dates, but the date that's really important to me, which is the culminating event, is next November after Fall Brawl. We're gonna be at Coleman's Creek for it. We're gonna do the culminating event. It's gonna be 2 days, 8 stages. Culminating event there. I've already talked to Coleman's Creek. They're down with it. So we're not trying to reinvent, the other stuff that's out there, whether it be proving grounds or whether it be the tactical games or whatever. We're not trying to reinvent that. We're just doing let me rephrase that. Hutch is doing his own thing. It's what he wants to do with my support, obviously. Um, I'm there to support him and help him with however he wants to do the match because at the end of the day, it's his match. So we're gonna do that there. So we will be shoot me in the face now. I will be at Coleman's Creek for 3 weeks almost straight. Um, so um, so yeah, it'll be a good time. It'll be good for Coleman's Creek. They're excited about it. It'll be good for us. It'll be good for Hutch. It'll be good for the competitors because the crossover there is a little bit of crossover from Three Guns. So we'll have guys coming out for Fall Brawl, then turn around the next weekend and coming out for the Gauntlet. So yeah, it's we're trying to do it all for the community, man.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm excited, man. Like that. I was telling Hutch the other day. I wish there were more matches like that, like the Gauntlet in on the East Coast. Like I would go to them. Not to take away from any of the other physical matches out there, but this is a true test of marksmanship and it's a true test of physicality.
it's my opinion on it, and again, this is my opinion. I approach it like I think about it like there is a limited number of individuals that are willing to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
by do that, I mean drag their balls through glass and then shoot, and then drag their balls through some more glass. So if you do it too often, people are either going to say, "Hey, I'm going to wait till the next weekend," or they're going to be like, "Well, I just got smoked at this one. I'm not going to come shoot this one." So you got to have some break in there. You got to have a little bit of break, and because not everybody is, a world class triathlete that can go out there and just drag their balls through glass and keep doing it every weekend. Not all of us are young. Not all of us can do that all the time. So keeping a little bit of a buffer there, I think, is ideal, and it keeps you the desire to do it.
Yeah.
Because just like anything, you can get burned out on it. So if you do it too much, you get burned out on it. You're excited to do it, so you constantly do it. Then 10th, 15th time, you're like, oh man, this is boring. This is
Yep.
so
What am I doing this
um
for?
why am I, yeah, I just smoked my ass last weekend. Why am I doing this again? Um but but yeah, I think it's gonna be I hope it's going to be popular for Hutch's sake, for our sake. I hope the competitors like it, just like all the matches we put on. Hutch is part of the family. It's I hope people enjoy it. And it's all for them anyway. So the only thing I get out of it is building a match that people enjoy. That's what I get out of it. That's the only thing I really want out of it is people to enjoy it. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I think this kind of concludes everything, but before we sign off, is there anything you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Um, keep shooting, guys. Come on out. Thank the sponsors that sponsored these matches. Dara sponsored Fall Brawl and it sponsored the Gauntlet. Always, always, always. Vortex is always there. Make sure you guys are reaching out to Vortex and thanking them for all their support of all the matches that they support. Um, uh, IWI, big shout out to Sig Sauer, Jordan out at Sig Sauer and at Sig coming on. They're our sponsor, title sponsor for Fall Brawl and Battle for the South. Jordan is a tremendous supporter of what we do. So I can't thank Sig Sauer enough for coming on and being on board with us and supporting us, and all the sponsors. I don't have them all right here in front of me, but all the sponsors who are out there willing to keep the sport going and support the sport. It is appreciated more than you understand, and more than you probably are receiving. It's we've got to have the support of the industry to keep this going. So the industry is what we do this for, because without the industry, we can't do this. And without us, the industry has other avenues, but really the shooting sports is where their products get really displayed and really used to their potential. Other than the military and law enforcement, to the used to their potential, your everyday Joe Blow who's buying a rifle or a pistol, they're going to shoot it 20, 30 times, and then it's going to sit in a safe. So, but anyway, that's all I got. I think, you guys get out there, thank the community, get out there, shoot, and we'll see you out there.
Awesome. Well, to the listeners, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope we all see you at a match in the North Carolina area. You won't be upset. You won't be disappointed. You're gonna have nothing but a great time. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. So until next time, have a good one.
Thanks, guys.